everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sonja and I'm a third year PhD student studying math and specifically representation theory, and today I'm gonna do a Q&A. It's the first one I've ever done, but a lot of people have been asking me questions on Instagram and I'm happy to answer them there also, but I thought maybe if people have the same questions, this video could be useful to you guys. So I asked you guys on YouTube and Instagram if you have any questions, and you guys did respond, so thank you. And now I'll move on to answering the questions. Okay, so this is the broadest question, so maybe I'll do it first. What does a math PhD actually involve? Are you solving a problem? Yes, I am solving a problem, and most people are. I can try to say what I do specifically and then maybe a more broad version. So I'm studying a particular object. This object existed in another form, so I'm studying this module which existed for Lie algebras, and now I'm studying for Lie superalgebras. So I'm trying to solve the problem of what are all the properties of this module. So I look at when are they irreducible, what is the dimension, is it finite dimensional, infinite dimensional, what is the character formulas, and all sorts of things to know how this module behaves, what is its structure, and so on. So usually it goes like there's something unknown in your field of math. Maybe people who don't do math are like, what do you mean, don't you guys just know everything? You know, there's calculus, linear algebra, but there's so much, and you can always push things and always try to learn more about specific subjects. You can always define new subjects, but not in a random way, in a way that arises naturally from things we already know, and then just try to learn everything about that. I would say in pure math, the problem you're solving is that we don't know everything there is to know about every mathematical object, so you're just building more knowledge to what we already know as humans about math. Do you like Noetherian or non-Noetherian rings more? So I would have to say Noetherian, because I usually when I deal with rings, it's always the ring of polynomials over C or the ring of Laurent polynomials over C, which are both Noetherian. And it's always nice to have some extra conditions like that make things easier to work with. What would you recommend to a student who didn't have a linear path in math? I'm not sure exactly what the path would be, but let's say you finish your undergrad and then you went to work or something, and now you want to go to grad school, or maybe you started off your undergrad in some totally different field and then you later on switch to math. I would recommend just learning as much as you can by yourself, like through books or even through, I know there are a lot of people on YouTube that make videos about like university level math, and to not be shy to apply to grad school if you really want to do so. Personally, I worked for 2 years after undergrad and then applied to grad school and got in, but I didn't really review much beforehand, and 2 years is a lot of time to take a break from something. So the first month of my master's degree was really hard because I forgot a lot of what I knew, but after that it all came back, so you shouldn't be worried if you are by taking a break. I think it's pretty normal to take breaks in between undergrad and graduate school. I guess what really matters is have you taken enough undergraduate math classes for you to be able to go to math school, go to grad school for math. Although there are some people in my school that did their undergrad in engineering and then did their master's in math, but they had to study like really, really hard to learn everything. Like, you know, they had to, while we're learning like measure theory and stuff, they would have to learn that, but also learn, you know, epsilon delta proofs and all this stuff that you take for granted when you're finished undergrad. So it could be really hard if you come from a background that's a little bit different than just pure or applied math. How do you manage everything? Like, what if some topic of mathematics becomes boring or wrong? So for the wrong part, I would hope that your advisor, whoever is grading you, will give you feedback right away, because usually I think you won't like publish something before really reviewing it thoroughly and getting some second eyes on it. So hopefully you won't be in a position where something you published is wrong. But what if some topic becomes boring? I don't know. So if you're in like a master's program and you find your topic boring, I think all you can do is just finish it, and then if you want to continue to do a PhD, try out some other topics. Since a PhD is long, it can be a little bit more flexible on what you do, as long as your advisor is able to support you in your area. So like, if you have an advisor who's an algebraic geometer and you want to jump to like doing probability theory, you probably can't do that, but there's always some little bit of wiggle room. And how to manage everything, I think the best thing to do is just make lists, write out stuff you need to do in an order of priority, and do stuff almost every day. Like, take 1 or 2 days off a week, but you can't, it's not like undergrad where you can delay and then study for like 2 days before your final test. That just won't work in graduate school. So just do a little bit every day and it should be okay. How to find a supervisor in grad school that's LGBT accepting. So the obvious way to be is, I guess, ask them, or find an email of another grad student who's already in your department you're looking at, and maybe ask them about the professors there. But another way is, I know there are conferences. One of the professors at my school spoke at an LGBT conference on geometry, topology, and dynamics. So there are conferences like that, and if you maybe look at the speakers of those conferences, then they're clearly accepting of LGBTQ, and you don't even have to bring it up if you don't want to with them, but you know they will be okay with that. Is it possible to keep publishing even in a non-academic, non-research related job? I would say yes. Probably not as part of your workday, but certainly you can keep working on stuff during your free time, and especially if you maybe keep some contacts with people you knew from the academic world, and you know you can get their feedback and stuff. And like, if you're working on something, you can run it by them to get like a second opinion and all that. Also, if you want to be in the loop of what's going on, I'm pretty sure like anyone is welcome to attend seminars held at schools. I know some people come to our geometry seminar that like either former professors or just people who like math. I think it's definitely possible. What to do if you find out your supervisor is toxic a couple years into your PhD? That's kind of a hard one. I'm not sure how it goes switching supervisors. It seems like in the US that's more common than in Canada, and I have no idea about Europe or Asia, so I don't know. Maybe I would talk to the assistant of the graduate program, like at my school there's a woman who's a graduate assistant, and she's more or less like a mom to all of the grad students. She kind of runs like everything administrative, and if you have troubles you can talk to her. At one time I was really upset about something, so I kind of like, without thinking, just like ran to her office very upset, and she was really nice about it to me and told me like, don't worry, things will be okay. I think those are, if you don't know if you can switch advisors or not, I would talk to someone like that, someone not a professor but like one of the admin people who are there to help. Or even if there is a graduate counselor, you can also ask that person if they have any advice of what specifically you can do for your school. Probably a lot of schools are different, but I hope that doesn't happen. That sounds not very good. Maybe to avoid that, I would ask, before you accept your offer, maybe email if that your potential advisor has a student currently or past students. I would like email them and maybe ask them some questions about that advisor. Usually grad students are fine to answer that. They don't mind. And then you can know if your personalities will mesh, hopefully. How do you cope with times when you're stuck on a proof or a concept that you should understand but have a hard time on for some reason? So this happens to me more than I would like. I think the only thing you can do is be patient, and it'll happen eventually. Like, it'll click back for you. Sometimes it has to do with that you're too tired, and if you just try the next day, it'll work. But other times it just takes time for these concepts to get like really internalized. And maybe if you have any friends or colleagues that know about this certain area, like whatever proof or concept you're trying to learn, you can also ask them. Sometimes they'll word it differently, and that way it will just make it click for you. As an undergrad, how do I know if I am meant to do research? I like math a lot, and I have even done a research internship studying a huge proof of a very well-known theorem, but I am scared if my interest is limited to knowing things, and if I might fail to produce original results in my PhD. I wouldn't be too worried about if you can or cannot produce original results, because I think most of the time you will be able to, like 99% of the time. It's dependent on your advisors. If your advisor has chosen you, they have a lot of experience and they can tell that you're capable of doing this. And also they know how to gauge problems, like what's a problem that's doable in like 4 years and at this person's level, rather than like, you know, they won't give you some super hard problem that they know takes a whole lot of tools and machinery to prove that you probably don't have. Like, they'll give you problems that they are confident you will be able to solve. So I wouldn't worry about not being able to produce original results if you're already comfortable with the other math that you've been doing. But I think, how do you know if you're meant to do research as an undergrad? The best thing, which you've already done, is to do like a summer internship. Usually most universities will have this, which is probably what you did, where from May to August you just study a proof with some profs. I guess if you're not really sure, I would do a master's first and see, because you're only committed to 1 or 2 years with a master's. And if you like it, you can continue to do a PhD, and if you find out you don't like research, you're only stuck there for a max of 2 years, and then you have like some good credentials for finding a job. So I think that's a win-win. How did you know you wanted to do representation theory and not any other area? I am in the final year of undergrad, but I still don't know what I want to do in grad school. So in undergrad, most of my department were algebraists, and somehow I just ended up taking, like, a majority of my math courses were algebra-based courses. So I already had it narrowed down to do algebra. Although I remember when I was in 4th year, I was like with a group of math students. We were going out to eat, and I mentioned that I really liked real analysis, and then a master's student just roasted me for that. So it's like, oh, like, is that bad? I guess I should go to, like, just focus on algebra. So I was kind of accidentally just in the algebra world, but it turns out I like it, so that's fine. But representation theory specifically, so first, it was in the subset of algebra, but I also really liked linear algebra, and representation theory has a lot to do with linear algebra. So it was that, and also I liked the professors who were in that area. I wanted to work with them. So those two things. If you still don't know what to do in grad school, I think if you're in the US and you apply to PhD programs, I believe you don't get an advisor right away. So you can take the first year or so to, like, take a bunch of courses and see which area of math is the most interesting or fun to you. If you're not in the US, you can't really do that, but I know in Canada, like, in Canada you have to have a master's to apply to a PhD program, and so for that I would pick, like, just one of the areas you liked in undergrad and try to do a master's in that. And while you're there, check out other seminars in your department, and maybe you like the thing you originally started, you can continue with that. Or if you don't, then you have an idea of what else is out there by attending these other seminars. Like, my school has, like, algebra and representation, geometry, topology analysis, some applied math one, which I'm not sure what they do actually. Biomath has number theory, free probability. Like, it has all sorts of seminars, and anyone can come. You don't have to be, like, in that area of research. Also, if your school has colloquiums, so that means like a talk that's meant for a general audience, I would go listen to them, because maybe then you can, like, people come from all sorts of different areas of math, and maybe you'll find something that seems really cool to you. How different is it going from doing math proofs in undergrad to doing math research? I think the main difference is knowing what kind of proof to do. Like, a lot of the times in undergrad, the questions will be set up so you know, like, approximately, should I do proof by induction, by contradiction, epsilon delta, or whatever. So probably the biggest difference is here you just have a problem, and then, okay, you know, I had to prove something's, well, I guess it's finite dimensional, so I was trying to prove it is. But, you know, prove this is finite dimensional. Okay, what the heck do I do? I guess also a lot of the times to prove this one simple sentence, you have to break it up into, like, a few steps, like prove, like, 3 lemmas or something, and then you can glue those lemmas together to prove your original sentence. So I guess the main thing is how to know what to do, like, where to start. But the actual proofs, like, so many of my proofs are just proof by induction. You just have to, like, set it up in the right way. That's probably also a harder part. So the proof techniques are similar or the same, and you have to know when to invoke which technique. How do you work out in your daily life? Like, what sports do you do, and what's the frequency? Right now I work out 5 days a week, and I jog 4 days a week, and the 5th day I do I found some YouTube video on exercises for runners, and I just follow along with that. That's because I don't really want to go to the gyms right now with all that's going on, and I really like jogging for, like, mental health reasons. Like, you just kind of expend your negative energy, and you can think about stuff You can listen to music or listen to a podcast and learn something, and it's nice to have that time alone, just to de-stress. I used to go to spinning class back when the gyms were like operating normally, and go to like an outdoor fitness class with my friend. But I really, really like jogging. I've been jogging since August, and it's really helped me like with my work-life balance. And maybe you're asking like, how do I fit it in? In the summer I tried to go in the mornings, but now it's like dark till 9 a.m. and then if I would go in the mornings I'd start my day really late. So now I go like maybe at 3 or 4 p.m. to take a break in the middle of the day and do that, and sometimes I go back to work after and sometimes I don't. Would you recommend a 12.9-inch iPad or an 11-inch iPad for research? So where's my iPad? This is the size of the 11-inch. Personally, I find it enough for research, and it's much cheaper than a 12.9. My phone just ran out of storage. I think I was talking about the iPads. I think I was gonna say that the 12.9-inch iPad is really nice in my opinion, and I just didn't buy it because it costs so much more. Yeah, like in Canadian dollars, the 11-inch is 1,000 and the 12.9-inch is 1,400, which is a big difference. So that's why I didn't go with the bigger one. And the smaller one it's enough to do research. Is it true that all mathematicians are shredded? I heard they start every day with 100 push-ups. Yes, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 100 squats. What are non-academia career options for pure math PhDs, especially the more theoretical fields? This is something I've been looking into recently because I don't know what I'll do after I graduate. Some examples I know are one person who did their PhD in number theory now does data science. I think that's a very popular career choice. I think you can do stuff in the cryptography world. That's heavily math related, I believe, because it has to do with like elliptic curves. Yeah, related to cryptography. I think you could work in like national security, if that's your jam. And of course there are the more obvious ones, like, which you don't need a PhD for, but you could do that if you wanted, like an actuary, computer programmer. But I will try to get back to you with a better list when I've done more research into it. But even though I don't know more specific examples right now, I'm pretty confident they will be employed afterwards. I haven't heard of anyone. There are plenty of people who have left academia from my school, but I'm just not exactly sure what they do, but they all have jobs. So. And the last one, objectively speaking, what's the best science and why is it math? Okay, so that's all the questions I had. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who submitted. This was fun to make, and I don't think I'll post again before the new year, so I wish everyone a happy new year and all the best. Bye!